You're joking.
No, that...
I'm astonished.
It's fantastic.
Great, lovely, thank you very much.
You know, I'm most amazed to see an American knife here today like this. This particular knife is very, very sought after by American collectors. How long have you had it?
50 years.
About 50 years in the family?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, here we have the American eagle, and on the other side, the motto, which you often see on American coins, E pluribus unum. It's a Bowie knife, of course, and there's the typical shaped Bowie, named after James Bowie, who carried a very similar knife, and so all these knives with clip-back blades are known as Bowie knives. But the Americans do like their own knives, and this is very much an American knife. Many Bowie knives were made in Sheffield, and they were shipped through the Hudson Bay Company and for trappers and hunters in America. But this is an American-made one, and of course very, very desirable in the American knife market. And I think you might be surprised to know it has a value of about £3,000.
You're joking.
No, that is, and possibly more.
This is interesting. This is a pass for Lieutenant L.H. Massey of the Inter-Services Research Bureau. It's interesting because the Inter-Services Research Bureau didn't exist.
Indeed, it didn't. When my father was told to report to the headquarters of the Inter-Services Research Bureau in Baker Street in London, he was given that pass and told he joined the organisation, but not what it was or what it did. He was then taken into another room where there were some senior officers who told him that, in fact, Inter-Services Research Bureau, which he'd never heard of, was the cover name for SOE, Special Operations Executive, which he'd also never heard of, but that was really the organisation he was going to be working for in the Polish section.
Churchill was instrumental in forming the SOE. It was formed in about 1940. Now, presumably, as an officer, he had to then buy all his own kit. I'm assuming he bought this, Fairbairn Sykes fighting dagger, for which he went to Wilkinson's Sword and paid 16 shillings for it.
My father knew Lieutenant Sykes and worked with him in SOE. Almost the first thing my father had to do on joining the organisation was to go and do the commando training course at Arisaig in the Western Highlands of Scotland. His own job was going to be to train Polish volunteers who were going back into Poland to join their version of the resistance, the AK, the Home Army. But before he could do that, he had to do the course himself.
I'm going to be technical for a bit here. This is a first pattern, third type. First one's had a 3-inch wavy crossguard. They got rid of it, snagged on everything. Second type had a square ricasso here, and this is the third type. The blade goes straight in. Now, if you look at another one of these, you'd be quite lucky because they didn't make very many of them. Few thousand at the absolute outside. They're all slightly different because each one of those was handmade by the people at Wilkinson, and they would hand grind the blades on a great big stone. It was handled by Sykes out of Fairbairn and Sykes. With that, I would put £5,000 on that.
I'm astonished.
It's the most amazing thing, handled by the guy who invented it. That has absolutely, totally made my day. That is just a wonderful, wonderful thing.
This is one of the earliest firearms that we've ever had on the roadshow. It's a blunderbuss, and it dates from about 1680. And I wondered if you know what it was used for.
I've been told it's a turnpike gun. So if people don't pay their tolls, that's what they'd get.
Well, it's a sort of 17th century equivalent of the congestion charge, then.
And if they heard the shot, they're still alive. So.
Yes, yeah. Well, it could well be used on a turnpike, but my view is that it's so big that it's actually for the defence of a ship.
Okay.
And it's the sort of thing that would have been rushed out of the arms chest to deal with boarders trying to get over the side of the gunwales, or also when two ships came together in an action and boarders were trying to go from both sides, then somebody could stay on one side and cover his colleagues with this by shooting into them. You could also put somebody up in one of the fighting tops, actually shooting down with it. So it's a blunderbuss, and that's a firearm which fires a large charge of shot. This would take something like about 4 or 5 ounces, so there's a lot of pellets in there. And they weren't loaded, as is popularly believed, with bits of broken metal and anything that you could find, but they were carefully cast little bullets about the size of peas, which were known as swan drops because they were for shooting wildfowl.
Yeah.
Now we can tell it's a very early gun because of the form of the lock. And the whole of the lock is very, very flat because it's been cut from solid sheets rather than forged. But the thing which is the real giveaway is this little catch on the back. A dog lock, as you rightly say, yes. It's a sort of early form of safety catch. And that held the cock in that position until you were ready to fire it so that you could keep it loaded and ready for any alarms or excursions.
Okay.
Now, do you know who made it?
I've been told Godfrey Taylor.
That's absolutely right. Taylor.
I don't know much about him, though.
Well, Taylor spanned the last half, really, of the 17th century. He was apprenticed in 1658 to a chap called John Silk, and then in 1666, when he'd done his 7 years, he was free of the gunmaker's company, which meant that he was allowed to work as a journeyman, a workman, go and earn his own wages and work for who he pleased. 1682, he's elected an assistant of the gunmaker's company, and in 1690 and 1699 he was the master of it. So he was the leader of this very important livery company in the city of London at a time of great interest in our history. It's constitutional monarchy was starting to come in. You've got Pepys's diaries. It's an absolutely wonderful period, and it's amazing to think that this firearm was around at that time. Now, this is a very, very early firearm from the sort of real beginnings of the British gun trade, and have you given any thought to what you think it might be worth?
Well, my friend bought it about 15 years ago off an antiques dealer for £750, so...
I think he had a bargain. Let's put a nought on it and say 7,500. On a really good day, it would probably do better than that because it's from this absolutely wonderful period of our history, and it's also at the beginning of the gun trade. And frankly, you don't get them as big as this.
If I was given the choice of taking the money or opening the box, faced with a lovely box like this, I would always open this because I think this is going to contain something very special. It's a box of the very highest quality, made from ebony with brass inlay. There are 2 border lines, a scutcheon, and to protect it, whenever the butler drops it, there's brass-bound corners. So let's open it up, and my choice would have been absolutely correct. There is a wonderful pair of pistols in here. Have you had any thoughts what these were originally made for?
Well, I thought perhaps they were for duelling, or perhaps they were for target shooting.
I think they're a bit small for duelling on the basis that the barrels are only 7 millimetres in diameter. If you look at dueling pistols, they tend to be ½ inch and larger. You're absolutely right, they are for target shooting, but they're for indoor target shooting.
Really?
And they're called saloon pistols because that's where they use them, in the saloon.
Well, when I saw them, I just thought how extraordinary were the method of hitting the cartridge. Instead of a pin, it was a line across the cartridge at the back.
Yes, now that's done for a special reason. If I take one out and cock it, you can see the striker runs the whole way across there. Now that is so that it hits the little 7 millimetre cartridge in 2 places along its rim. And if you hit it twice, there's a pretty good chance it's going to go off. The rimfire cartridge was invented in 1845 by Nicolas Flaubert.
Right.
And that is an original cartridge for it.
Oh, right.
So you can see it's very, very tiny. Have you any idea how old they might be and where they were made?
Well, I don't think they were made in this country, but they look continental to me, but I'm not quite sure.
I think you're absolutely right. They are continental. They are Belgian. They were made in Liège.
Oh, right.
And they are about 1875, that sort of era. These pistols are of really the highest quality. They've got ebony stocks, the barrels are blued, and there's a little tiny bit of silver and gold inlaid foliage on the breech. And they are just wonderful, beautiful quality things. They can be owned by anybody without a licence. And I think if these appeared at auction, they would do £5,000 very easily, and on a really good day they might do 10.
Wow, that's fantastic.
I think they're fantastic.
Well, thank you very much indeed.
It'd be my pleasure to see them.
So firstly, thank you for bringing me back to the city of my birth. And secondly, thank you for bringing me these daggers and armor from ancient India. The religious aspect to a sword is quite important for many of the martial races of India, and the Sikhs being one of them. We worship weaponry, and so do many of the Hindu groups. The Rajputs, for example, worship the sword. Can you tell me how they came into your possession?
They belong to my dad from his collection. He started to collect when he was in his 20s and has been collecting ever since. There is around about 500 pieces in his collection.
When did he buy these objects?
Probably bought them around the 1980s, 1990s.
It was really the golden age of collecting. But I know your father, and I've dealt with him over the last few years, but I know these objects were bought probably when I was at school, and they're wonderful. This one in particular is one of my favourites. It's a South Indian bichua.
Okay.
Bichua translates as scorpion sting because of the shape of the blade. And this bronze grip tells a story of Sati. Sati was married to Shiva, the Hindu god Shiva. But the father-in-law, Daksha, held a fire ceremony, religious ceremony, and he didn't invite Shiva. And Sati was devastated, so she attended and threw herself on the fire in protest.
Okay.
When Shiva heard, he plucked one of his dreadlocks, threw it on the floor, and up sprung Veerabhadran, who is a protagonist of the story and is pictured right here. Veerabhadran attended the ceremony and he replaced Daksha's head with a goat's head.
Oh.
And we can see Daksha pictured very meekly with a ram's head, and then Shiva and Sati riding at the top on Nandi, the holy bull, but a great object. And up here we have a katar, or a katar, and it's a classical Indian weapon, a punch dagger. This example is 17th century, possibly late 16th century.
Wow.
And it's wonderfully decorated with this shell guard and these two small yalis, which are mythological creatures. We'll move on to this piece at the bottom. It's not a piece to be used in anger.
Okay.
It's a status object or a gift. It's 18th century, made in Karnataka in the south of India. This, being the quality it is, must have been made as a special commission for a ruler, a Maharaja, somebody very important. Really a wonderful group. And you are unlikely to be able to find anything on the market nowadays. So your father was really collecting at the right time. Do you know how much he paid for the objects?
I think in total around £10,000.
He bought very well. In fact, he got his investment back right with this piece here, £8,000 to £10,000.
Wow.
The punch dagger, the katar at the top here, a similar one was sold in a German auction a few years ago, approximately £35,000, if memory serves me. The one at the front, it's unique. A conservative figure would be 30 to 40,000.
Oh my. Right.
Total value, we're looking at 70 to 80,000 pounds, and that's being conservative.
Great, lovely, thank you very much.
Is that what you expected?
A lot more than what I expected.
Thank you so much for bringing them along.
Thank you.